Okay, review for Chapter 1 test. Couple of things. Remember all that information about points, lines, and planes. Never put down, like if you have a picture, give me a point that goes through line AB. You need to put point B or point B. If you need to name this line, you have two options. You either name it line, oops, that's awfully big, line AB, or you name it line, and then you give the cursive little italicized letter at the end there. Okay, if this is in a plane, you either write out the word plane and then give the, let me call that an A, crazy A. Call it plane crazy A, or you can give the symbol for plane, which is that little parallelogram, and then the crazy A. Okay, pretty much just stick to that notation, and of course, your quiz had very, very similar kind of questions on that, so be on the lookout for that. Collinear and coplanar, what's the definition of those? Not necessarily that you have to give the definition on the test, but you have to use this definition, or it may be used in a question, and you have to know what that means. Collinear has line. So if you have a line, it means you have many points, 2, 3, 4, 5 points in a line, then you say those points are collinear. If I say draw some coplanar points, then all those points are on the same plane. Okay, notice how it has the word plane in there to kind of give that away. So points on the same line, collinear. Points on the same plane are considered coplanar. Once again, those questions I probably asked like every day since we started the chapter. How many points does it take, the minimum number of points to take a line, to make a line? 2. But how many could you have? You could have infinite number of points on a line if you wanted to. That's what a line is made up of, an infinite number of points. The minimum number of points to make a plane, you would need a minimum of 3 points to make a plane. Okay, so you need point A, B, and C. You can have infinite number of points on your plane, but the minimum is 3. All right, if you have 2 lines that intersect, bing, bang, they intersect to form a point. And once again, if you had to like answer the question, if line A and line B intersect, they intersect at point, we're going to call this K, you have to write your answer in the blank. Don't write K, you write point K. Oh my gosh, I should write out the whole word. Or you're going to write dot K, meaning point K. Okay, 2 planes intersect. Once again, that's like the ceiling. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to draw this. The ceiling and the wall. Those 2 right here is where they intersect. Technically, it goes on forever and ever in either direction. You would call that an intersection of 2 planes is known as a line. And then make sure when you do this on the test that you put in, this point, you got A, B, you're going to write line A, B. Okay? Yeah, so that stuff, I'm hoping that that's just second nature to you. Some problems that we've had during the unit when it has a question like, find the value of x and RT if J is between, that's my shortcut for between, if J is between AT, oh, that's not going to work, RT, sorry, RT, okay? So then you would have, here's your R, here's your T. Once again, the thing is with this kind of a problem, you must, this is what you get like on a quiz or a test. Draw the picture. Draw the picture right away. Make sure you get this right here. And of course, somewhere in here will tell you that RJ is 2x plus 3, JT is 4x plus 5, and the whole distance is, well, it wouldn't make sense in this question if I tell you a number, but then it would say like 5x minus 3, something like that. Okay? So if you're faced with this, the first thing when you see this, draw the picture. Then fill in the information which should be given. And don't forget, they want you to find x and RT. So when you do this, set 2x plus 3 plus 4x plus 5 equal to 5x minus 3. And I'm not going to solve that because I think you have the capabilities of doing that solving. Things that I don't want you to forget, it's been probably a week since you've actually done a problem with the distance formula. With that said, just do a quick practice, like just quick take out a sheet of paper, write it down, and then check in your notes or the book or whatever to see if you've got it right. And then same with the midpoint formula. Okay? Of course, now that you're like looking through your book, looking through your notes, let's check. D equals square root. I'm not too concerned about your little subs, 2, 1, those can be left out. Squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. Remember, this is Pythagorean theorem in disguise. This is like a squared plus b squared equals c squared, except what do? You square root. Okay, so that, if you get stuck, try to default back to that. This is a minus, not a times. Okay, midpoint formula, x plus x over 2. Once again, if you want to put in the little 1s and 2s, fine, equals the x value of your midpoint. Y plus y divided by 2 equals the y value of your midpoint. You got 1, you got 2. All right. Just be careful with those. If anything, I would look over your midpoint worksheet. You have that somewhere in your thing, and like those last 6 questions on your worksheet. Go back and look at those. If you have trouble, I would say pop in quick. In 2 minutes, we can get you straightened out. But this is the formula you're using on those. Okay, so distance formula, midpoint formula, got to know them for the test. Basic vocabulary, obtuse. You know what word is coming next. Acute, right. You can even have a straight line, which is opposite or opposite rays is the technical term for it, but we know it as a straight line to work with that. One of my favorite questions as of recent is, what are the sides of an angle? Gosh, what are the sides of an angle? Okay, so if I gave you angle, we got A, we got B, we got C. If you have those are your sides, or that's your angle, you would say your sides are ray BC, ray BA. Okay, you would have to have both those answers to get that correct. What's another question with this? What's the vertex? You would say the vertex is point V. Of course, I'm drawing this after the fact, but what if you had an 8 in here? You could also call this angle, instead of angle ABC, you can call it angle CBA, you can call it angle 8, you can call it angle B. You gotta be careful with that if you have more than one picture or it could refer to more than one angle. Then you will have to be specific and put all three letters in there. Okay? Other vocabulary that you would need to know for the test. Vertical angles. Okay? Those are supposed to be my arrows at the end. These are vertical and these are vertical. Once again, it takes an X to make the V. All right? So there's my X, there's my V. Vertical angles are always going to be congruent. So if you see that or hear that said or whatever on the test, make a mark, show that they're congruent. These are congruent to each other. Okay, so you have like 2 sets of vertical angles usually in an X like that. Linear pair. So don't be surprised when you have a question that says something about find a linear pair or these angles form a linear pair. Once again, you're looking at that line. You got a straight line. Okay, and then there's this angle coming out of it. This is angle B, or angle A, angle B. These 2 angles form a linear pair. It's a pair of angles that form a line. Okay, let me show you this. This is an angle, and this is a counterexample. This is 80 degrees. Over here I have another one that's like 100 degrees. Okay, 180 do add up to 180, but they are not a linear pair because they are not forming a straight line like this one. However, I would say these two angles are, I hope you finish my sentence here, these two angles add up to 180, so they are considered to be supplementary. Just want to point out again, this is supplementary as well. It's a linear pair that's supplementary. This is supplementary, sorry I can't put my finger, but they are not a linear pair. Okay? Ooh, what's that other word? If it's not 180 degrees, gosh, what could it be? What could it be? What is that? That's what it looks like. What is that? Complementary. If you give somebody a compliment, you shake their hand, your arm forms a 90-degree angle. Complementary. So there's your 90-degree angle. All right. Adjacent. Okay, and once again, I'm not going to give straight vocabulary, I don't think, on this test. It's just going to be like, name an adjacent angle to angle whatever it is. So adjacent means next to. Next to. So once again, I could go back to this example. Here's A, here's B. Angle A is adjacent to angle B. Something like this. Angle A is adjacent to angle B. Okay? Adjacent means that next to. What else do we have? I would want to know, like, if you see this symbol, you should know that that means something is congruent to something else. That's if you see it like written out. If you see it in a picture, we don't write congruent like that. So if we want to say angle A is congruent to angle B, we would put this kind of a mark for congruent in your picture. If you see this symbol, that's a very large symbol right there, but that is your perpendicular. Because perpendicular is a super duper long word to write out, and we don't want to write it out all the time. So perpendicular means you have a right angle. Okay. This, sometimes we talk about lines, or you could say in this case, ray AB is perpendicular to ray AC. As soon as you see the word perpendicular, then I would write in my little picture like that to show, hey, that's a right angle, which means 90 degrees. Okay, I'm going to put that mark there to kind of set that straight. So when you see perpendicular as a symbol, like in your write-up, you'll have it like this, but if you see it in a picture, it's going to look like this with the right angle marking, or they'll have something like 90 degrees in there. All right, and then of course, lots on your test, lots of picture-y things like, hey, and they'll give like, oh, this isn't the best picture. I'll take it as it is though. And then they're gonna say something like, oh, I'm gonna put angle 1 and angle 2 in there. Angle 1, oh, they would do something like this. It would be more like A, B. Ray, A, B, and then here's the big word that I want to get at here. Bisects. Bisects. Angle CAD, I guess. Angle CAD. All right. So there's your angle. It's been bisected by this ray AB. And so you're going to have questions like this. And they do this, and this is like your packet, the angle addition postulate packet, like the last page, basically, the front and the back of that. Various ways. Sometimes they give you the entire angle here. The secret is, if they give you 2x minus 3 here, and they tell you that these are bisected, which once again I didn't get to this. Bisect means two congruent parts. So that means I can go ahead right away when I see bisect, put my little mark in there to say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Yeah, I can right away write, hey, over here is 2x minus 3. Okay? And then they usually have like a total, like 5x plus 11. If that's the case, you write 2x minus 3 plus 2x minus 3 equals 5x plus 11. I don't know that I want you to try to solve that. It probably is going to turn out to be pretty ugly. That's basically kind of one format. You have to be careful when you look at this because they don't always follow the same format. But sometimes they do something more like this, and they'll say, this angle is 3x plus 4, this angle is 4x minus 5. And you know that it's been bisected, so then you set it up, hey, these two are congruent, or they're equal to each other, or they're two equal parts, so I can set them equal to each other. and then you can go ahead and solve. Once again, I would just re-practice one on your worksheet if you had to. Okay? And then sometimes they do other things. They'll say, hey, this is a right angle. Well, if that's the case, this plus this equals 90 degrees. And the last thing that I want to talk about is precision. Okay? Once again, if you see something that is like 5.1 centimeters, that's the measurement you've gotten. That means your ruler has 0.1 centimeters on it. So your smallest increment is 0.1. I hesitate to write that, but I'm going to put that kind of in parentheses. So you're thinking, hey, my ruler has 0.1 markings. It has 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. Your precision is 0.05 centimeters. Okay? If you have 4 1/8 inches, your smallest increment is 1/8 of an inch. Okay, if it's 1/8 of an inch, then you take half of that and you get a 1/16. Your precision is 1/16 of an inch. So whatever your smallest increment is, you kind of read that from whatever your measurement is. Take half of that and you get your precision. Once again, you have, I think, like we had a review on this as well about precision, and you have an assignment that you can look back on. Not the easiest thing, but I think I've kind of trained you. If you see something with point whatever, I don't care if it's 5.2, 5.6, 5.8, 5.9, that's a 0.1 centimeter ruler. Your precision is half of whatever this number is. Okay? And then you can write 5.1 plus or minus 0.05. Okay? And then, of course, then out of that, then you take 5.1 minus 0.05, which is 5.05, less than or equal to x, less than or equal to, now you add it, 5.15. All right? And then kind of the same thing down here. You would have 4 1/8 plus a 16th and minus a 16th. You would do your plus and minus, and then you would actually figure what is 4 1/8 plus a 16th and 4 1/8 minus a 16th. Okay? Dokie. That should be a general kind of overview of a lot of information from chapter 1 for the test.